Wow. Today, I've said it before, but it's true. Today is the hottest goddamn day.
Warm today.
It's very warm today. It's intolerably warm. I got home, my tomato was falling over. I had to go to Home Depot and get some sticks to hold the tomato up. And everything, at work, I didn't have any work to do. I sat there bored for 6 hours.
Meanwhile, I'm just exhausted, and this tetanus shot is not doing me any favors, I gotta say.
Yeah, basically everything sucks.
Except bacon.
Yes, not everything sucks because there's bacon, so everything does not suck. But it's con season real soon. This weekend begins the onslaught of doom.
Yep, we'll have a normal episode tomorrow. Don't worry about that.
Yes, and stuff is bothering us now. So today we're just going to do a special episode, like 10 minutes or not very long episode. This is a special episode.
In fact, I want to point out, this might be one step below a special. This might be a flash.
Whoa.
Anyway, continue what you were going to say.
If you have never listened to Geeknights before, this is not a normal episode of Geeknights. This is a Rim and Scott are really tired and lazy episode of Geeknights, but we still want to put something in the feed so we don't look like shit talkers.
You see, the
word
word
lazy assholes.
The word special for us means Rim and Scott are too lazy to do a real show.
Think of it this way. You know how sometimes a webcomic artist puts up like just a pencil sketch without any words or colors?
It's
That's
Zero
what
Day.
this is. Yeah, it's basically a dead Rim and Scott day.
Yep.
So,
Goddamn, do I need to go to sleep.
There's no news. There's no things of the day.
Well, there's a ton of news, and I really want to talk about
What
it.
kind of news?
I want to talk about the PlayStation 3 price drops.
I don't care about that.
I care about that because I want to tell everyone it doesn't freaking matter.
Whatever.
Anyway, forget all that.
Forget all that bullshit. We're just going to talk about a happy little game that everyone, well, I guess maybe some people should play.
I'm actually really sour on the game.
Yeah, I was really hot on it, and then I was really sour. The game we're going to talk about today is a nice, happy little non-collectible card game called Chrononauts from Looney Labs.
Now, Looney Labs makes a lot of fun little things.
Looney
like
Labs,
this.
they make the Flux, they make the Nano Fictionary, they make Aquarius, which I have, they make Chrononauts, of course. They make a bunch of fun little games, and the themes of these games are really fun, and the games are really fun, and I've heard that the people who make the games are really cool, and I would not doubt that for a second.
So, Chrononauts, which we're going to talk about very briefly.
Yep.
In sum, the way the game works is you lay out the history of the world in cards, many of which can be flipped over.
Well, the history of the modern world. Like, it starts in the late 1800s and goes all the way up to, like, the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, it's like, World War I, World War II, and all that, up until nuclear bombs and the near future.
Like, the events near the end are like, Challenger exploding and World War III, stuff like that, right?
Now, you all play as travelers, and the thing is, there's a bunch of different travelers. They all have different goals, and every player gets a different one secretly.
Yes, the story is that there are many different universes, and in each universe, history happened differently. In one universe, there was a nuclear explosion in World War II, like on London, or so. I'm just making stuff up because I don't really remember the details. Like in another universe, the Lusitania didn't sink, right? So you're a time traveler, and you're in a universe with a bunch of other people. And everyone sort of shares this same universe, this row of cards. It's actually a grid of cards. And everyone on their turn attempts to manipulate all the cards on the board in such a way that your universe, the universe that you, the traveler, are from, is the one that comes to be. For example, if you are Squatront, the cockroach from the future, you want World War III to happen. Because that's the only way in which you can exist.
Now, there's two really cool things about this game. I mean, one, the fact that you all have a secret mission. You don't know what everyone else's missions are.
Yeah, you don't know what the other people are trying to do. You just know that the other people are trying to do something that's not what you're trying to do.
So there can be a lot of bluffing and a lot of stuff like that.
Yep.
I believe it's a complete information game, but not a perfect information game.
Yes, you don't know what other people have in their hands is the thing.
Something like that. I might have gotten the terminology wrong. It's late.
Yes.
I'll talk about game theory another time.
Basically, you have a deck of cards, you put out the history of the world, and you set it to the default true history, right? And everyone has some cards, and on your turn, you sort of draw and play cards, and the cards do things. Some cards let you draw more cards, some cards let you alter the history, some cards are artifacts. You can get, like, collections of artifacts to do cool things. Like, if you get all the Mona Lisas, you might be able to win or something like that, And you can, on the board, there are two types of cards in the history. There are linchpin events in history, and there are just normal events. And the way it works is the linchpins, you flip them over, right? So let's say the Lusitania is sinking. Let's say I flip that over. I look on the board, and there's a cool system with these various symbols, and I'm like, okay, if the Lusitania didn't sink, then that means that this card over here about World War I, we're going to flip that over, and it turns into like a paradox card, right? And basically, you try to, someone else might need that card to not be a paradox. Or maybe they have a card in their hand that says, I don't know, Archduke Ferdinand not assassinated, kills assassin, right? But they can't play that card unless the card that's currently occupying the spot is set to paradox. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm explaining it that
basically, you manipulate history to change the configuration of the board, and everything has far-reaching consequences. And once the board is in the configuration of your player's victory condition, you win immediately and the game's over.
Yeah, so it's kind of a fun game because the actual theme of the game is hilarious if you've never played it before. I mean,
yes.
the text on the character cards is funny. The artifacts are funny. The different historical situations that can come up are funny. Like, oh man, look at that. There's a history in which John Lennon wasn't assassinated and now he's protesting the space shuttle. Oh man, that's hilarious.
Now, the other neat thing is that we talked about those paradoxes. There are two interesting things that can happen in the game. One, if too many paradoxes appear on the board and no one fixes them, the world ends and everyone loses.
Yep, unless you, there's one person, one character, where if you have that character, you win in that situation.
Number two, if you set history up a certain way, World War III happens. And then there is just no history beyond that point.
Yep. It's pretty cool when that happens, actually.
So the game, I highly recommend playing this game at a con with someone else who owns it, with a bunch of people who collectively have never played it before.
Yeah, it'll be hilarious if you've never played it before. The thing is...
kind of like Guillotine.
Yes. These games, it's a non-collectible card game. It's a game that's just a deck of cards and an instruction book, and you don't have to collect anything, even though there is an expansion. And it's like about $10, $15, something like that. It's actually a pretty big deck of cards. But you're only going to play it so many times before you're bored of it, and you don't really play it again. Because the humor runs out. And
once you strip the humor and the theme away, it's a fairly straightforward manipulation game.
Yeah, the game pretty much comes down to, everyone is manipulating this shared resource to try to configure it the way they want. And basically, whoever wins comes down to what cards you draw.
You know what it's
like?
If
you draw the cards that allow you to switch the board to be the way you want, then you win.
It's a simplified version of, let's say you had a game where 4 people take turns making one move on a Rubik's Cube, and everyone has a secret configuration that if the cube looks like that, they win.
Yep.
And you just go around until someone makes it.
Yep. That's pretty much what it is. So
don't buy the game. I like it. I like Looney Labs, but it's not really that worth buying. Unless you're the kind of person who tends to have people over who aren't so into gaming, or you meet new people all the time and you want something you can whip out that will entertain them quickly and easily. And
yeah,
you don't
it's definitely good for the families and the kids and that sort of thing. You just whip this thing out with some people who aren't for gamers that care about gaming. This isn't going to do it for you.
Except unless if you're at a con or with friends and you've never played this before, it is really fun the first couple times.
It is. It's really fun a bunch of times until you've seen all the content and the humor is gone. But it's really good for entertaining normal people, and it's actually... Looney Labs games are a really great gateway into getting normal people to sort of slide them on in, because you can slide them from Looney Labs over to, like, Steve Jackson games, and then once you're in Steve Jackson games, you can go just about anywhere, But, yeah, I don't know. It's worth it, $10, $15 for some people, not for others. And it's Chrononauts. You can get it just about anywhere. Oh, it's also good filler. Like, if you're having a big gaming night, and in between some big, heavy games, you can whip this out for just like a quick little, refresh. It's good for that.
It's also good if you got too many people over to all play one game. Everyone who's not hardcore can just play this and have fun while I don't want to say while the men are playing their manly game, because that's definitely not true, but more
true.
If you're not, if you don't care about board games to the kind of freakish level that we care about board games.
And you want to play a game that's not a typical American game, and, you want to have something that's got a lot of humor in it, way to go.
Right. So on that note, stay tuned tomorrow night when we'll be back to our regularly scheduled Geek Nights, but I'm going to bed.
I'm going to maybe take a shower and then go to bed.
Madness.